Alex, surely that news today that Dele Alli has signed a new deal, that's a real shot in the arm, isn't it?
It is. It's great for the fans. Some positive news that they wanted, especially when he has come through the club and the player he is. It's hard to get a player like that, and so when you do, you need to do everything to make sure he stays at the club. A player that can create a bit of magic when games are tight. He's the player that they'd look for. And the sort of player as well that, you know, teams look to double up on him because they know how dangerous he is, which creates space for other players as well. So it's great that they've managed to keep him at that club.
I mean, we've been here so many times with Tottenham under Daniel Levy, and not for the first time, Carragher and Neville head-to-head last night.
They've not been here before. They've not been here.
In terms of?
They've not been here in terms of consistency of Champions League places.
No, investment.
Investment, yeah.
Investing in players.
Yeah.
So just how significant is signing a player on that length of contract of Dele Alli's calibre?
It's great business, because you think about, OK, Dele Alli, yes, he's got a pay rise, but then in terms of the manager, if they don't keep the manager, if they're not making Champions League, then a player like Dele Alli or Harry Kane as well will be like, OK, well, I need to leave to go and get silverware. That's where the business comes into play. We've done a great job keeping him in a long-term contract, and then Tottenham make money.
Do you know what? I like Dele Alli, I think he's top drawer, but let's give Spurs some credit here. They've given a platform to progress and play every week as a young lad coming out of the lower leagues. Now, if he'd have gone to Liverpool, which he nearly did, I'm not sure he would have played as many games.
That's where you have to credit the manager then.
Yeah, exactly.
He's brave enough to give those opportunities.
And work with him on the training pitch.
Yeah.
But the club, in terms of, we're going to go and get a manager who's going to invest in the youngsters, obviously work with him on the training pitch, spot on. But Tottenham as a club deserve credit as well for giving... And I think he said that since he signed the contract, hasn't he?
I think
he's grateful for the platform, the support of the supporters. But I don't think there's another big club in the top six where he'd have gone and played as much as he has.
Possibly,
and that's the advantage.
Possibly Liverpool under Klopp now. You see Trent Alexander-Arnold and Joe Gomez and Andy Robertson get given a chance. But I think Dele Alli is a symbol for the job that Mauricio Pochettino has done at that football club. We're going to look at their net spends. What he's done for me is I want to manage one day, and I look at him as my first role model, because what he does, he has a system, he has a way of playing, and he fits young players and improves them. And when you improve a player on the pitch, you improve their transfer value off the pitch. You improve the club's value in terms of overall what it's worth in terms of. So you've got shareholders that are happy, you've got everyone happy. And Mauricio Pochettino has done nothing short of a miracle at that football club. I think Dele Alli is a symbol of that. But now he's a victim of his own success, because now you see his comments in the media in terms of his frustrations. They're almost plateauing. Now, you've got the likes of Kane and Ali, but signing these players, they're going to expect to have to go to the next level. The next level for Tottenham is winning trophies and winning titles. So, yeah, it's great for the club that Dele has signed, but it needs to be on a journey to something, because you see the Real Madrid job come up at the moment, and for me, there's no coincidence in timing that Mauricio Pochettino has shown his frustration at a very political time for me.
I think he's right that he's showing that frustration. I think he has every right to, because since he's been in the job, he's done everything that club asked for. He's coached the young players, made them such better players, progressed Spurs to a level over these last couple of years that they're in Champions League, they're challenging, but there's some more pieces to the puzzle that he needs, and that's what he's crying out for, and that's the frustration 100%. To get to that next level.
Well, he said in his press conference on Friday, but it was embargoed till Monday, so he would have known what he was saying. Came out on the eve of the game, or the day of the game. Despite our start being the best ever in the Premier League, I have never felt as low as I am. The frustrations with the stadium, with the pitch, with the signings. Yet when we spoke to him pre-match, he said, look, maybe I didn't make myself very clear. Now, when I saw the other journalists upstairs, they said, no, he knew exactly what he was saying.
Yeah, but he's a loud one, I'll tell you that much, because he conducts himself brilliantly. He doesn't moan about referees, about other teams, players' antics. He doesn't moan about not having transfers. He hasn't done up to this point.
He had a little moan, do you remember at the end of last season, after the Leicester game?
Hardly anything compared to a lot of managers we could talk about.
No, but he has... Danny, do you think it's almost like, and he seems to have a great working relationship with Daniel Levy and the rest of the board, it's a bit like if one of you three subbed a player, or you were subbed, you come off, you kick the bucket and you throw your top down, you're not happy.
A little bit, yeah.
So if Daniel Levy might say, OK, I can understand that and I like that, Because it's ambition.
Yeah, that's ambition. I think it's ambition. It comes from being ambitious. I think he's looking at his squad at the moment, right? And he's saying, how can I get this team? I think he's done maximum he can to get the potential out of what he's working with right now. So what does he need? He needs to invest in players that are going to take them to the next level. And so I can completely understand his frustration, because Tottenham fans as well, all of a sudden, through their success, qualifying for the Champions League 3 times out of 4 seasons, saying, right, what's next?
Yeah, but you can't. Rome wasn't built in a day, and what I mean by that is you can't change the wage structure at the club overnight. It has to be done over time.
Exactly.
So you don't go from 100 grand players to 200 grand. It's got to be done gradually. The quality of player that they're going for becomes better gradually. Now, what he's done is progressed the club forward, I think, more quickly than anyone anticipated, which is what you're saying. And I agree wholeheartedly. But you can't then just all of a sudden become... Because if you turn around and go, let's go and get some big names and pay them super money, you're going to have the domino effect of players knocking on the door.
Exactly.
And also, would you get the likes of Winks, who I think is going to be a terrific player, Dele Alli, playing every week if you're going to go and buy the top stars? You can't have the best of both.
No,
You've got to find that balance.
I understand, and that's a frustration from his point of view. But what I would say is they're now building from a place of strength. Like, we understand the problems with the stadium, but I take a perfect example, Liverpool, right? Klopp does fantastically well. Now, Liverpool go out and say, do you know what, we're going for it. They go and spend on the best goalkeeper they can get, the best centre-half they can get, and now you see that club so much stronger this year. They've got a chance of challenging, for me, the best football team in Premier League history in Manchester City right now. I think this is a key stage for Tottenham, because I think they have the potential to do that. I look at their performance yesterday. They pushed Man City as far as anyone else has done this season in terms of the way they went and pressed the ball. I don't see many teams go and press Man City, try and take them out of their stride. Now, what Pochettino's doing that with a team with a £29 million net spend.
Oh, I agree with you.
An absolute miracle.
I mean, we used to talk about Arsene Wenger as being amazing, what he did. I mean, you look at, as you say, you look at their net spend now, it's borderline unbelievable. What he's competing with.
What you can't do, see, Liverpool have been paying big money, big wages for a long time. Tottenham haven't. So you're comparing, they're not comparable, really. You can in terms of ability over the last few years, but not in terms of the club's ambition and what Liverpool have been paying players for much longer than Spurs. But that net spend is incredible. And what that does is reinforce what we're all saying here, which is Pochettino's an unbelievable coach. And unfortunately, with the best players and the best coaches, the big boys are always lurking. And is it coincidence that he's come out and said what he said for the first time in Madrid, managed us? I'm not sure. Do you know what? I would really hope, and I mean this sincerely because I've met him and he is a lovely guy. And he spent genuine time talking to my son and talking to me. What a lovely guy. Humble guy as well. I hope he stays for Tottenham's sake and for the Premier League's sake, because he's done a tremendous job, and I'd like to see him see it out.
Go ahead.
That's the thing. We're talking about, it's great they've re-signed Dele Alli and they've kept all their core group of players. Those players want to play for the manager. Yeah. So that's the main piece of the puzzle, that they need to do everything to keep him at that club.
Do you think a conversation will have taken place between Dele Alli and Mauricio Pochettino? Dele saying, listen, before I sign this, what you do, or... is that unfair?
It's unfair. You can't. Not in this day and age. You can say anything you want, but if Real Madrid come calling tomorrow or in a month's time to Mauricio Pochettino and he wants to go, no matter what he said to Dele Alli, he'll go. He'll go. So I don't think you can make, as a manager, you can't make those promises to
as a player, can you ask that question?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can genuinely give an answer as a manager with the ambition and the ability that he's shown in the last few years of his job. And I think that's where his frustration is stemming from. He knows what he needs. He almost knows what he needs, and it's almost like, I can't get it because my hands are tied by the stadium, by our budget. And he's saying, if you want to keep me, we're going to have to spend now. Well, I think that's his statement for me.
He might well have said to Dele Alli he's staying. We don't know, but a lot of managers won't tie themselves up like that.
You can't.
But I think that Dele Alli is probably thinking, I'm going to play, I'm enjoying it, I'm young. Whichever manager comes in, I'm going to play, really. He believes in himself. You can see that in the way he plays. So, as a player, although you get on with certain managers and it's really important that you're liked and well thought of and playing, Dele Alli is a confident young man who probably thinks, well, even if he does go, I'm still Dele Alli and I'm still going to be playing. That's what you need as a player. You don't base all your decisions on what a manager may or may not do.
Well,
and the wages.
Yeah, it will help.
It all helps.
Well, it does. Let's be honest, it does. That's like why you get big players at all the big clubs like City and Chelsea, and they're coming off the bench. You think, why aren't they kicking up a fuss? Well, they don't kick up a fuss because they're paid.
But
not
that's
to
the
kick up a
problem
fuss.
that Tottenham have now,
Yeah.
in terms of where they want to be and where they should be. For me, they've got probably the best manager they could possibly have at the football club now. They've got one of the best young squads in Europe. You go through their squad and the contract durations of each player.
Most are tied down.
Most are tied down for a good 5 years. Should be a really exciting point in Tottenham's history. What's against them is they're up against Manchester City and they're up against Liverpool at the moment. And Chelsea to an extent as well.
Well, even
These
Arsenal
clubs,
spent more.
Arsenal have spent more.
10
Now's
times
the
more.
time. Now's the time for them. You see clubs spending 20 times what they've spent in terms
That's what I mean.
of
You
their
see
net
this
spend.
season already. So Spurs have done so well to get to this point over the last couple of years. And now the other teams, they've caught them up.
Yeah.
So that place to get in a top 4 situation.
But the difference now is it's expected. I remember they got
It's
knocked
not
out by
easy this
Juventus.
season
They got
because
knocked
then-
out by Juventus last season. Tottenham fans are unhappy. And hang on a
you're
minute.
thinking what, yeah.
You spent £30 million net spend over the last 5 years, and you nearly knocked out Juventus. We saw
Should
what
have.
Juventus did
Shouldn't have.
we saw what Juventus did last week to Manchester United, by the way, who spent £450 million net spend in the last 4 years. That's the type of job that he's done. And now, for me, what he's saying is
It's just that
support
tipping
me.
point, isn't it?
Yeah, they're at that
It's
point.
like you either put that investment in, like you said,
Yeah.
and then you can start really, really challenging, or the other clubs around them, the top 4, the Arsenals. I'm throwing Arsenal in there.
Always Arsenal.
But
Why?
Their hand's going to be forced. For Tongan, Alderweireld, year left, Dembele out of contract. They're going to have to spend. No doubt about it.
But if you spend on the sort of calibre you're talking about there,
Big dough.
you also talk about wages to match.
Yeah. But if you look at it in a different way, the long contracts they put play. If you look at the spine, Sanchez I thought was terrific.
He's
I
an
think
outstanding
he's outstanding
youngster.
centre half. I think Winks for me is someone I've
Yeah.
really I've seen him a lot and really think he's got potential to be ever present in the middle of the park. Ali and Kane, there's your spine. So they're building, but like every club, there's always squads evolve.
Yeah.
But you want Pochettino there to make that happen.
Do you know, but say you talk about young players that you bring through, we'll take, say, Alex Ferguson's young squad. They had some outstanding senior pros within that dressing room, who have been there and done it and won things. And I look at Tottenham's squad and I say, right, who's in the squad that, when things get difficult in the Champions League away from home, who's the person that can organise? Who's the person that's been there and done it? They don't have it yet. They don't have it. Possibly, right, Lloris has won the World Cup with France, but his performance levels this year have dipped massively. So I'm looking and saying, who outfield? Harry Kane, still young, is England's captain of Tottenham. I'm talking about those midfield players, that someone who's been there and done it, defensive midfield player who said, I've gone and won the Champions League, I've gone and been there and done it. They don't have that yet. That's what they need.
The problem is with that, all those top players you're talking about won't go there because they don't pay the same as the others.
That's what he's asking for
But
me.
also, if you're Daniel Levy and you have brought them to this point with the way you run the football club, why would you change it? It's been hugely
The
successful.
expectations changed. The expectations changed with the success they've had.
OK, let me ask you this.
Or not had, as Merck said.
Yeah.
Why is Mauricio Pochettino the bookmaker's favourite for the Real Madrid job? Why is he
Because of what he said the other day.
Why is he the favourite?
If I'm on the board of Real Madrid, he's the first man I'm looking at. He's the first man I'm looking at in world football right now.
Ahead of Conte, who the
Ahead of
titles he's
Conte.
won?
Because what Pochettino's done relatively with the squad that he's had and the way he's built and the way he plays, for me, if I'm looking for someone to go in, and Real Madrid are at a point now, it's interesting, they need a rebuild because their squad's ageing. So you're looking and saying, right, what manager's gone into a football club, rebuilt a football club, plays in a certain way and can increase the value of young players? He's the best one in the world for me.
The thing is, I would say if I was Real Madrid, I wouldn't be looking at him.
you wouldn't.
No.
Why?
Because his MO is improving players, younger players, and making them play high intensity and very structured. When you watch Tottenham play, they're organised. You know what they're doing, play high intensity, and the players are improving. He likes working with players. If you want Galacticos and the biggest names in the world, you're taking a risk with a player that's never dealt with the biggest players in the world.
Yeah, but Zinedine Zidane never managed and won 3 Champions Leagues in a row.
Exactly,
So
but it was a risk.
Yeah, but every appointment's a risk. For me, if you're saying...
Yeah, but you lower the risk, don't you?
So, but who on that list, who else is out there?
Well, Conte's won the league at Chelsea and dealt with big players. So in terms of... Depends.
But I suppose in terms of Conte going to, Madrid, for the likes of if you're looking long-term and bringing in players like Hazard and everything, that already kind of...
What I'm saying is, if
There's
you look
trouble with
at
that already.
Kroos, you look at Modric, you look at Benzema, those type of players. If Pochettino, I'm only, suggesting that if he goes in, you remember a Tottenham players talking about how hard the training is, how fit he's got them, which I think's right, by the way.
Yeah.
The intensity they work with at Tottenham. In fact, he had to lower it, didn't they, because of they had a spell where they were getting injuries. They were training that hard. You start going in and doing that to those type of players, you're not going to last very long.
Yeah, but I suppose that's where he's learned as well. And they are in this rebuilding process. And I think Real Madrid, at this moment in time, they do need to think more longer term and have a more plan, a development in place. And he would be the main man for that.
I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I think he could. But I think if you're talking about what Real Madrid normally do, that's not what they normally do.
But that's why they need to change it now. Because of what's going on. They need to start something
I think top players actually like winning and they like working hard. And I think there's an element of that where it's needed now. I think the game's changed in terms of the intensity of the game yesterday between Tottenham and Man City was outstanding.
Yeah,
it wasn't in terms of goals, and it wasn't the greatest game in terms of goal malfaction and chance, but the actual intensity, the fitness levels of those players were incredible. And he's doing it with a squad that he's built from pretty much scratch. He had some outstanding players, but Harry Kane come on massively. Dele Alli come on massively. You see Harry Winks come on, he changed the game when he came on yesterday. That doesn't happen under any other manager for me. And that's why if I'm Real Madrid's board, I'm saying that's our man, and I think he's in a position of strength.
These things are never straightforward. They're never black and white. They are nuanced, multi-layered. So is he staying or going?
I think he'll stay.
Yes, I'm looking at you.
I think, look, if Real Madrid come knocking, it's his chance. No disrespect to Tottenham, one of the biggest clubs in the world, the chance to push on in his career. Look, we have to remember, managers are just as passionate to want to win trophies and everything, just like players are. This is his opportunity to go and manage a massive club like that.
But would it not be a bigger achievement to win trophies with Tottenham
100%.
than it would be with Real Madrid?
I think that's the pull for him right now. I think he would love to do it at Tottenham, but I think he knows what he needs. And it's no surprise to me to see Real Madrid appoint Solari. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on to the end of the season and Real Madrid wait for him. And I think January will be key in terms of what
because the players are in charge, though.
Well,
it's a lovely point for them. It's a jolly up, isn't it?
Well, it's a jolly up, but let's be honest, they've won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. You don't do that by having a jolly up. These are world-class players who like winning games of football, and under Lopetegui they weren't doing it. So Real Madrid needed to make a change. Now, they're at a key point, Real Madrid, in terms of Ronaldo's gone, that era's gone. They need something new. It wouldn't surprise me if they're waiting it out for a year to see if they can get their man.
So that's sort of going.
Sort of going.
Danny?
Nothing would surprise me. I've got a feeling he'll stay. I think he's got an affinity with the fans. I think he would feel that he'd left maybe just before something great was going to happen. I think he's got every right to ask for more. He's earned that right. But just going back a few years, he was fortunate getting the job at a big club like Tottenham. He'd only done a year at Southampton, done well, but he'd won nothing anywhere else. Got the job at Tottenham and everyone was a bit like...
I think that...
But now...
Not a bit harsh. Do you have to win something to be seen as successful?
No, I'm talking about when Tottenham employed him, the fans were after a big name. The fans were after Trident, if you remember. The Tottenham supporters wanted someone who could come in and go...
But that's where credit has to go to the Tottenham board in terms of that.
I agree, and the proof is in the pudding of what he's done.
Because that Southampton team were outstanding, and they had young players at times, Shaw, Lallana, and he made them better. So he's shown that he gets the best out of what he can work with.
Yeah, now, so my point is that he might feel that Spurs giving him the opportunity, he might repay that when the first time comes that he gets nudged. Well, there was rumours about United, but if he's being nudged by Madrid, hopefully, I'm hoping that Pochettino says, well, you know what, I've got time, he's young, I'll stay a bit longer. That's what I hope.
But then it goes down to if he believes the club are going to take it to that next level and invest. Exactly. Because if they don't, then they are at a standstill, and everything that he's tried to create to move the club forward is then, what's the next level?
Go. If he doesn't get any guarantees, you think...
I think the deciding factor is Daniel leaving. He's not going anywhere.
he's got to see his contract.
He's far too shrewd, far too shrewd.